The best games are kind of bad. The best video games are bad? That's a stupid thing to say. That's stupid. Good games are good, I think. Let's find out, shall we?
Judging by what I've seen on YouTube over the past year or so is a pretty controversial opinion. That being, Tears of the Kingdom is a good video game.
Do people turn on this game? Yes, it's kind of mid. Yes, people hate this game. Really? Dude, I respect Tears of the Kingdom. I don't like Breath of the Wild, and I wouldn't play this game. I got bored. But, like, I respect it for what it is. It's more of a complete game to me than Breath of the Wild. This is such a contrarian chat. Bro, I've been saying, and they say that about me. And here go the chat. Oh, the chat is a reflection of the streamer, XDD. I just killed 3 people while they were sleeping in their apartment. I'm just like you, Coney. No, I don't condone that. And turn yourself in.
I can't think of many titles where the moment-to-moment gameplay feels as fun for as long as it does here. With enough effort and iteration, any stupid idea you come up with can become the solution to whatever's in your way. Simply put, I loved playing it.
But you gotta make your own fun. That's why I don't fuck with these games, bro. I don't want to make my own fun. You make the fun for me, and I'll play it. It's a small part of it. It looks like a lot. All I ever see is they be making stuff, and, like, I don't like Legos, man. You're not a fun person? No! I'm not. I don't have a creative mind. Oh, shit, this guy just got called out.
Video focusing on all of its
Oh, not Scott!
Disappointment at how it turned out.
Damn, everybody's flaming this game.
I've watched a ton of critiques on Tears of the Kingdom, and while I don't agree with every take about it because that's not how existing works, I do think the vast majority of criticisms levied towards it hold a lot of water.
Like what?
There is an annoying amount of repeated content, the sky islands are too sparse, there aren't enough unique encounters throughout the world, especially in the depths.
Dude, this just looks like Breath of the Wild to me. If it's just big and empty and boring, how is that different? Maybe you didn't like the game from 10 years ago. Dude, if this goes on YouTube, I'm gonna get flamed. It just looks like more Breath of the Wild, and that shit I did not like about Breath of the Wild. And maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but to me, that's what I did not like about Breath of the Wild. They're waking up. Bro, you think I'm ahead of the curve? I will say, Expedition 99, great game. I like good shit. Is Expedition 99 or 33? Did I say 99? I leaked the Battle Royale. Sorry.
And due to the flexibility of the mechanics, it's incredibly easy to trivialize most puzzles. Like Ultra Hand into Recall into Ascension clears over half the game. Pulling it off is fun the first few times, but when it becomes a solution to almost everything, the player no longer needs to really engage with what the game is putting out in front of them, and instead just has to execute a simple chain of commands.
You're making your own fun. When you give somebody the whole toolbox with every tool in it and say, hey, beat the game, I guess you could choose what you want to do. Just say Breath of the Wild is one of the worst games of all time. It's not. I understand why people like Breath of the Wild. I don't understand why hardcore video game people who have played a lot of video games like Breath of the Wild. I think it's a very good game, but I think that if you've played a lot of open world games or video games in general, I'm shocked that, like, it sticks with people that hard. But maybe it's because they are big Zelda fans. I'm not a big Zelda guy, so whatever. As a big Zelda guy, I hate it. Okay, well, I know a lot of people who, like, want the linear style, like Skyward Sword or whatever, too. That's a little different, I guess.
And this seems like a pretty common experience. Most praise of Tears of the Kingdom has always come with a caveat. An incredible game that annoyed me to no end. A disappointing masterpiece. A frustrating 10 out of 10.
It's all oh, is that my boy Yakko, friend of the stream? Okay.
It's near impossible to talk about Tears of the Kingdom without talking about the ways in which it fell short.
Yeah, but you can't have a fully gushing YouTube video. I think part of that is just at the whims of the algorithm, right? Because, like, if you just say, this is the best game I've ever played and I love it so much, it's just gushing for 40 minutes. And maybe people will watch that, but that's like... I feel like that doesn't have high engagement. I love putting on stuff while I do chores.
I think a large portion of its problems are a consequence of the thing that makes it so special. Its immense scale. The world is so densely packed with things to do and ways to do them, giving players constant opportunities to utilize the overwhelming amount of mechanics offered.
I feel like this game is Legos. Breath of the Wild was not Legos. Breath of the Wild was Lincoln Logs. Yeah, but you didn't, like, combine stuff in that game, right? It's Minecraft. Breath of the Wild?
There's a GDC talk I think about a lot by Alex Jaffe called Curse Problems in Game Design. Some design ideas have unsolvable problems that are a result of their core promises being in conflict with each other. Like with its freedom over mechanics. It wants to allow players to be tactical in combat and utilize Link's massive arsenal, but it also wants fights to feel fluid and frenetic and exciting. However,
you're giving the player too much agency and control, which limits the ability of challenge you can put into the game. That's fucking Elden Ring, because I can ring the bell and make another me and then kill the boss in one hit. Yeah, man, I get it. That's why we gotta stop doing that! A guy like me wouldn't ring the bell. I tried not to, bro. I fought Radon, like, I think 50 times, and then I rang that bell and I won immediately.
they'll have to limit themselves in what they use, taking away some of the freedom. Doing this also requires some amount of self-control from the player, and that's kind of asking a lot, as sometimes it is hard to ignore the call of the simplest path.
Yeah, this is literally just Elden Ring. It's just, if I just jump R2 and stun the guy over and over, I can beat any boss, but then I'm not engaging with the game properly, and I'm not. This is the same thing I felt, so maybe Tears of the Kingdom is ass. Is this entire video about Tears of the Kingdom? I don't think so. There's no properly. It's about engaging how you want. Some people value that freedom, and some people want direction. When you create a series, is where you present a problem and just say, hey, solve this however you want. I feel like Souls games typically just present something for you and then sort of challenge you to figure it out. Elden Ring has too many options that trivialize it. But a lot of people find that fun, and I get that. Just not me. I think Elden Ring also provides a lot in terms of lore, visuals, exploration. Yeah, especially in the moment on your first playthrough, it does feel magical and like anything can happen. But I do think looking back, you're like, hey, you tricked me. I spent 4 hours looking at dungeons, and they all were the same at the end. Why is this fucking alien cosmos comet guy from outer space in a dungeon?
Problems like these exist with all kinds
new
of
games. Okay.
Of all kinds of sizes, but they do seem almost inevitable for ones with massive scales. Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption 2, Elden Ring, Skyrim. All of them are considered to be some of the best games ever made, in large part due to their incredible worlds and the breadth of player options they offer. But like Tears of the Kingdom, there's...
Coney, should games be designed around being 100%ed? Depends on the game. Tears of the Kingdom, no. Banjo-Kazooie, yes. Spider-Man, yes. I mean, I did. And then my kid deleted my save. Did I not tell you guys that story about Spider-Man? I told some of the... I guess not all of you guys were here. Yeah, my kid deleted my Spider-Man save. I played through all of Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. The whole thing, right? Beat the whole thing. 100%. It did everything. And my kid wanted to play it, and she'll be like, I want to play Spider-Man. And all she does is just walk through the city high-fiving people. She just likes walking around, climbing up buildings. It's very cute. So I said, okay, here you go, sweetie. And I was in the middle of doing something. So I just gave her the controller, and then she said, it's not working. And I look up, and I'm like, wait, what? And I couldn't find my save, and I realized she probably hit, like, triangle, then X. Now, thank God I beat the whole game, because it was like 20 hours in. And I didn't care. I'm not going to go back to my... I don't know if you guys are this way too, like weirdly sentimental about your 100% saves. Who gives a shit? Like, you already beat it. If you're going to go back, you're going to start at the beginning again. I didn't care, especially for this game, but like I could feel like the weird feeling of like, oh, all that progress. Didn't you cry when you lost your Kazooie save? I'm going to be honest, if I lost my current Banjo-Tooie save that we have when we play the game every like 3 months, I don't know if I'd be okay with that. We spent a lot of time in those games, man.
At a point, once a certain scale is reached, there are just too many factors to account for, and that will lead to concessions in one form or another.
You know what my example of this is? I love Burnout. I love Burnout 3. I think Burnout 3 is one of the best games ever made. Burnout Paradise City, I fucking hate that game because it's open world. And you have to, like, go from race to race. Because in Burnout 2 or 3 and, like, those games, it's more arcadey. You, like, pick a race and then you do the race. In Burnout Paradise, you have to drive to the race, which means you're always looking down at the mini-map and, like, looking, where do I turn? What do I do? And because you're looking at the mini-map, you're not looking at where you're going. So, like, the open world doesn't work. Because you're driving, like, 150 miles an hour, and you're going to slam into a fucking wall. Mario Kart isn't the same because you're not playing Mario Kart for blinding speed. You're playing Mario Kart to, like, that's fine. Most games, when you drive like that, it's fine. But Burnout, you're trying, like, the whole point of the game is to, like, careen around and drive risky. But how do I drive risky when I'm constantly looking down at the map? And what'll happen is, like, if you come up on your turn signal will automatically turn on, and the game will be like, hey, go this way. Except it turns on, like, half of a second before the turn. It's like right away. Burnout Paradise City, I think, is ass.
Now, even though big game does not equal good game, they do make up a large percentage of titles considered the best ever. Almost every top 100 list I've ever seen has The Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption 2, Elden Ring, Skyrim, and Breath of the Wild in the top 25.
I wonder why that is. I'm surprised people don't take the good with the bad. Like, something really cool happens and you remember it more than the 10 hours you spent just wandering around. But I guess when you're soaking up the world, it feels like you're accomplishing something even when you're not. Like, you feel like you're a part of the world and the universe or whatever, even if nothing's happening. Immersion? Yeah, I get it. That's why I didn't like Breath of the Wild, is because I'm just walking around. I'm like, there's nothing going on. Wow, the music came in. Bling, 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 bling. Beautiful. That said, when I play Red Dead Redemption, I'm like, nature, and I listen to the wind blow and all the animals. So I'm just I'm a Westaboo. It's not fair. It's not fair.
Tears of the Kingdom has been more divisive than any of the other games I've mentioned, and while this certainly isn't the only reason, there are just so many more mechanics and interactions of mechanics that can create loose ends, leading to a higher amount of both positive outcomes and negative outcomes. With titles like this, I find myself at a crossroads, because while there are undeniably issues with them, it is hard for me to care about them that much when the good stuff it does is just so special and frankly unprecedented.
Yeah, I think Nintendo isn't interested in like casting the widest net. Like, they could always just try to be the other companies, but I think doing their own thing is good and bad. So it's like I think whatever choices they make are due to their own artistic vision. Like, Nintendo, for all of how shitty and anti-consumer a lot of people think it is, I think their games do have an almost auteur touch. They could have just kept making Ocarina of Time or like Majora's Mask, like single-player linear Zelda games, but like taking it in this direction is pretty bold, right? But then sometimes you get turned into like a Kirby or a Yoshi. Your whole gimmick is novelty and variety, and then you don't have, like, not that you don't have an identity, but, like, Kirby's bullshit was like, hey, now you draw in the game. Shake your system. Now you're into fucking clay. Now Kirby's yarn. It's like they keep changing stuff. But then they put out Forgotten Land, and it's the same. I don't know.
I find myself wondering, how do you properly judge it? How do you rate it? Like, review scores have always been a flawed practice. At best, they are a quick and imperfect way to give a general impression about a title, but games like Tears of the Kingdom make them feel almost useless, especially when you try to compare its score to other games. For instance, A Short Hike, which is pretty much Breath of the Wild if it had a smaller scale, is what I would consider.
No, that's not real. What do you mean? Is the idea just exploring a beautiful world this game's about like progression and finding the right path, and I feel like Breath of the Wild is so big that's not really what it is, and you can't hear him out. Okay, you do walk in both, yeah.
Its execution is as close to flawless as a game can
but
get.
The scale
Over
is
the years,
way
I've played
smaller,
a handful of titles that I'd say fall into the same category. Iron Lung, Before Your Eyes, A Beginner's Guide. All of these games execute their core gameplay ideas in a near-perfect fashion to create a tight player experience that seemingly directly matches the developer's intent.
No, that makes sense, because then it's like, I've had this thought before where it's just like, it's those stores or like a food truck that makes one really good grilled cheese. Like, it makes the best grilled cheese you will ever have for the rest of your life, and that food truck only serves grilled cheese. Maybe it has a couple variations on grilled cheese, but they only make grilled cheese. You can't rate that the same as, like, I don't know, a beef welly somewhere.
It has no noticeable flaws and is a delight to play the entire time. It should be a 10 out of 10, right? It sounds right, at least. But then you have something like Tears of the Kingdom, which has many noticeable flaws, but its scale and ambition blows A Short Hike out of the water. It has a much higher amount of interesting mechanics and moments, as you'd imagine it should, because Tears of the Kingdom had over 1,000 devs working on it, where A Short Hike largely had one.
And that's why you only listen to individual people instead of big review sites. You find one person or one YouTuber that shares your sensibilities and you listen to what they say, or you listen to what they don't say. You listen to what they don't like. And that's why YouTubers win. Again.
So should Tears of the Kingdom get a lower score because it isn't as tight of a package? Because it has design contradictions that get in the way of matching the developer's intended experience?
Yes! Because if you have ambition and scale and desires, your competency should scale with it. You don't get extra bonus points for being for trying.
With a video I mentioned earlier made by fellow IP intern Yako, titled Tears of the Kingdom is a frustrating 10 out of 10, I remember looking at the comments when it first came out and seeing one that said something along the lines of, so you mean it's a 7? And it's bothered me for a year and a half. Because of course Yako didn't just mean it was a 7, otherwise he would have called it a 7.
Dude, those YouTube comments are the most annoying. When you say something and the comment is like, actually, it's this. Oh, and then the other people agree with them. They just say what you said, but in a different way, and then everybody just likes it, and then it's at the top. Oh.
This is why I find Metacritic scores, both critic reviews and user reviews, to be wildly unhelpful.
No.
You get out-of-context aggregates of out-of-context review numbers.
No, I think Metacritic scores are great. I think an informed consumer looks at what type of game it is, and they're like, oh, Baldur's Gate, classic RPG, turn-based, wizards and warlock thing. How well do they execute it? Metacritic is to weed out the garbage. Yeah, kind of. Like, if I see, if there's a new shooter game, right, and I don't really know much about it, and I'm trying to figure out more about it, and then I see that it has, a 68, I'm like, okay, I could probably just skip this. Too many games to just guess. I think Metacritic is there to be like, does this game succeed at what it's trying to do? If it's above an 80, I will always check it out. If it's below an 80, I'll consider it. Now, if it's below a 50, I will try it. Because that shit's interesting to me. If a game's below 50, I'm like, ooh, that looks silly.
A platform that I think does a much better job, although it is still flawed and purely based on user reviews, is Backlogged. It's pretty much letterboxed for games, allowing folks to track and review whatever they're playing. It is rated at about a 4 out of 5, at least as of recording this. And when you look at the scores, the most common by far is a 4, which checks out. That is what you'd kind of expect from a 4 out of 5 game.
I would call Bayonetta a 3.5. Caught.
If you look at Rain World, on the other hand, it also has around a 4 out of 5. But the most common score by a good margin is a 5.
Rain World, if you like it, it will crit. But if you don't like it, it will not. There's bias to this, too, because the only people who enjoy the game are the ones who are going to rate it, right? Like, I feel like usually if you don't fuck with something, you're not going to, go out of your way to rate something, or you're only going to make that effort if you want to tell people about it, if you want to be an evangelist for your favorite game or something cool, right? Unless you're only one here. Speaking of. Why? I guess that was the last thing. All right, yeah. This is the third time I've gone to his profile and I've seen XDefiant, and I'm like, why is that the last thing?
I do think many that become people's absolute favorites are ones that are very particular in who they are designed to appeal to. They are specific and unafraid to make choices that won't be for everyone. This is how Demon's Souls led to a modern dynasty. There's certainly...
Yeah, because you feel seen. It appeals exactly to what you like, and it unlocks a new thing that you didn't know you liked before. The things that are going to stick with you are things that feel unique and different and new to you. What I think is interesting is when some things that, and maybe you guys could think of an example for this, but an idea or something that's been in games forever that gets circled back around and somebody does it. But Isaac is a good one. Yeah, Binding of Isaac. That's perfect. It's just Zelda dungeons, but they're repackaged in a new way, and now it's everybody's favorite game, and everybody calls it one of the best roguelikes. When something that is old comes around to being new again, and it refreshes, and everybody's like, oh, there's nothing like this, but there was from 30 fucking years ago.
And as game development has a lower barrier to entry than ever before, there are more games than ever before, and many of them appeal to very specific tastes.
What is this?
I think this is one of the reasons more and more players are feeling disconnected
Webbed?
from AAA games. It's at a point where the budgets and more consequently the earnings demands from publishers and investors practically require every big game to be a hit. And this has led to many titles trying to appeal to the most amount of players possible, often making them too general and risk averse to feel truly special. Now,
this is why I like Pizza Tower, because it felt to me it's like a collection of Super Nintendo platformers from the early 90s where you have a level in a fridge. I think the Cheetos Cheetah had a game like that. You're just, oh no, it was Pink Panther. You're just in a fucking fridge now, and the level is in the fridge, and then you get out of the fridge, and there's a Halloween level like in Garfield. I think that shit's kind of cool, but that's hyper-targeted to me. People want to be appealed to directly. But that's also what can happen is you play a game I don't know, Sayonara Wild Hearts. I played that game, and I love rhythm games, and I was like, I don't like this. It's Subway Surfers.
Plenty of games designed for a certain niche do still spread beyond it. And one thing I've noticed is that when they do break into the mainstream, there is a high likelihood that they receive the criticism of being overrated. And it makes sense. If a bunch of people say a game is incredible and you play it and don't connect with it in the slightest, it's easy to wonder what other people saw in it.
Yes and no. It's only because those people are very loud. It's a very small group of people that are extremely loud.
Say some faceless YouTuber keeps telling you over and over again to play, I don't know, some game where you're in a time loop and fly a spaceship around a small solar system. And then you see 10 more say you should play it. And then a bunch of your friends are saying it too.
It's Outer Wilds. Oh boy, don't get spoiled. Don't learn anything about it. This game is going to change your life. It's a fucking video ad. It was an ad for Outer Wilds again.
But once you play it, you find the ship controls to be annoying, the time loop to be overly restrictive and repetitive, the story to be too text reliant, and you can't help but wonder how someone can view it as one of the most meaningful gaming experiences they've ever had. This paper bag guy says it changed his life, but you were bored and lost the whole time. So when there's that much of a gap between experiences, it's hard not to want to call it overrated.
No, I think I'm just too stupid for it. Like, I genuinely, I feel like this is probably an amazing game. It's a phenomenal experience. I get that. You know what I feel that about? Immortality. This game blew my fucking mind. I loved this game. This game was awesome. But I think this is my Outer Wilds. Other people aren't going to be into this, and that's okay.
I think the terms underrated and overrated have some strange implications. Like at its core, calling something overrated rarely has to do with its actual ratings or that an individual likes it. It's that too many people like it too much. It has less to do with the contents of a game and more to do with a person being tired of hearing about a game for the millionth time that they didn't find to be all that special, that they felt had fundamental flaws that led to them disliking it.
Oh my god, it is me with Breath of the Wild. Oh my god. It's me. Caught.
And to be clear, that's not a judgment. I'm guilty of this too. It makes me fundamentally sad that in 2022, Stray won Indie Game of the Year.
That's crazy. The cat game? I forgot about that. Oh, let me rate these games real quick. I'd probably go Sifu, Tunic, Neon White, Cult, Stray. I'll put Sifu at 1. I fucking love Sifu, dude. Sifu's excellent.
To bring it back to where we started, I don't know that there is a series that has been called overrated more often than The Legend of Zelda.
Really? I'm trying to think of a series that more, but like, I feel like as a series, maybe. Pokemon? Oh, no, you're right. I was going to say as a series, like as individual games, because people will like say Hollow Knight or Undertale or whatever, like indie games that get a lot of acclaim. But, like, as a series, maybe.
Frankly, it makes sense, as they are the best-selling Zelda games by a lot. Together, they've sold more copies than all of the other 3D games combined. They are talked about by more people, they are loved by more people, and so it is no real surprise that they are also hated by more people. Tears of the Kingdom especially is a weird game in that it does a decent bit to be palatable to an extremely wide audience, while also having a handful of systems with edges to them that will appeal greatly to some but annoy others.
Video games are just getting way bigger, man. I didn't realize that they were that much bigger than all the other games, but I guess just things are more accessible, more people play them. Appeals to Lego kids. I think it's more Minecraft kids at this point, but I get what you mean. Insane that the worst mainline Zelda game is like a 6 out of 10. I think the most consistent series has to be Souls, right? Dark Souls 2 is the worst one, and it's still like an 8.
However, despite its flaws, both the avoidable ones and cursed ones, it also offered a level of player freedom within a structure that provided a clear sense of progression in a way I've never seen before, and getting to experience that was incredible. I think the phrase "nothing is perfect" often gets used as a way to hand-wave the issues with a thing.
I think it's cool to have a game give you a new experience that you haven't felt before, even more so when it's delivered by a big company who doesn't need to do that shit. So it's cool that Nintendo would make a game like this with this boundless creativity baked into it, where you could do literally anything, even to the detriment of the game itself.
Or while actively antagonizing anyone outside of it, or is so massive in scope that despite providing some of the most innovative and intriguing gameplay out there, also contains unsolvable issues as a result of that, the best games will always be kinda bad. To someone at least.
You know, as somebody whose favorite game series is Pikmin, I get it. I don't think I could get people to play Pikmin. I could ask them to try it, but I think it just clicks with my brain in a certain way. But clearly Nintendo is marketing the shit out of it. Dude, there are Pikmin all over the park at that Epic Universe thing in the Mario area. They really love Pikmin. And it feels so weird to me as a longtime Pikmin fan to, like, see Nintendo put so much effort into this series that is not a big moneymaker. It's Miyamoto's special interest.